not to be considered a public community meeting. There may be time for public participation as indicated by agenda item or as directed by the president. The meeting site is fully accessible. Any person requiring further accommodation should contact the superintendent at the school corporation's central office. The meeting will be electronically recorded and will be kept on file in the superintendent's office. A copy of the audio recording will also be available on the NLCS website. So now I would ask, or first of all, we have all members present except for Mr. Parsley and Mr. King. And I would ask all those who are able to rise and uncover for the pledge. Barbara, would you lead us, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So now I would entertain a motion for review and approval of the minutes and executive session memo from June 6th of 24.
So moved.
Mr. Bailey makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Miller seconds. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? All right. Persons to address the board relative to the agenda. Okay. Mrs. Muter.
Hello, I asked the board for approval of claims and payroll since the last board meeting.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve claims and payroll since the last board meeting as presented.
So moved.
Mrs. Collier makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Number 2.
I asked the board for the approval of the stipends that are presented to you.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the stipends as presented.
So moved.
Mrs. Collier makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Miller seconds. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Number 3.
I asked the board for approval of Time Clock Plus contract renewal.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the Time Clock Plus contract renewal as presented.
So moved.
All right, Mr. Lambert makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Any discussion? This is something we've been using, correct?
It's something we've been using for a long time.
Okay. All right. Hearing no other discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Motion carries. Number 4.
I asked the board for approval to increase the NLCS support staff health aid starting pay from $13 an hour to $16 per hour.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve item D number 4 as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Lambert makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Any discussion on this motion?
How many people this is?
A handful.
Okay.
Any other? All right. Hearing no more discussion on that, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Unger?
Good evening. I present to you and ask for approval of the personnel agenda.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the personnel agenda as presented.
Make the motion.
All right, Mrs. Miller makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. Any abstentions? Okay. The motion carries. Number 2.
Before number 2, I think Mr. Yancey would like to take a moment to introduce our new Director of Playful Pathways.
Miss Dawn Skinner is here. They'll be taking over the middle of July for Playful Pathways. We want to welcome her, so congratulations.
Thank you guys so much. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for coming. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we would move to the approval of the Raptor.
Yes, number 2, approval of the Raptor technology system. As you may remember, we had you approve a Raptor system for sign-in. So it's for visitor sign-in. We've also now used it for contractors, for example, the Coke guy or the vending machine. These have been wonderful in improving safety because it keeps us a record. It does a check when people come in. We have a record of their ID. But then even, for example, Mr. Housel, if we get a call to know if somebody was in a building that day, he can easily access that now digitally. So we always, it's a running record that we now have as opposed to the papers that were kept on site. So it's also improved safety and efficiency for our administrative assistants. They've really liked it. Our goal is also to very soon put in our substitute teachers into the system and our hopefully one day students for sign in and sign out. So this proposal that's brought to you today, this contract, is for one, to add this to the Career Center. We first thought we might be able to get by just having one at BNL, but that has proved not the case. And also the system's just been so good and wonderful that we do want to make sure we get it at the Career Center. The other part is to add in a volunteer management system that goes into it already, and this will help us for like field trips, also class parties, but also if somebody wants to start coming in on a regular basis volunteering, we can easily do the check, which is in there in the second quote. So we're making a proposal for the second one, which I think was a little over 11,000, that combines both the kiosk or the setup at North Florence Career Center, but also for the volunteer management system. Another thing that I like about it, it'll also then help keep track of hours. So if we have somebody now who comes in and volunteers 50, 60 hours over the school year, we'll know that and can recognize that.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the Raptor technology system as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Bailey makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Lombrick seconds. Any discussion? I would just say I've used it, and it's as the coming in to visit the schools, and it's very easy and seamless from the user perspective. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Aaron Miller?
Good evening. I would like to request the approval of High Ability Specialist Consulting Contract with D&H Services, LLC, for help with our pilot at Shawswick. This contract is for 6 days on-site consulting to review the program, to observe, give feedback to both the principal and the High Ability Specialist. So we would really like that, and the money would come from the High Ability Grant.
I would entertain a motion to approve the High Ability Specialist Consulting Contract as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Lombrick makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Any discussion? Is this just for 1 year, or would this be?
It's just for 1 year.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Any more discussion? Right. Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then Ms. Terrell?
Hi, good evening. I am requesting approval to hire a robotics coach at BNL.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the creation of a high school robotics coach as presented.
It's just an ECA, I assume,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah.
So moved.
All right. Mr. Lombrick makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Collier seconds. Any discussion on the motion? Does this mean we have a lot of interest in robotics? Is that
From my understanding,
Okay,
yes,
good.
the elementary students who
I
are
knew
need
that-
more have been at BMS, and now they
they're
are at BNL.
Now they're coming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's great. All right. Hearing no more discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Underwood.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. We are requesting approval of the memorandum of understanding between Hoosier Uplands, Head Start, and North Lawrence Community Schools for the 2024-2025 school year.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the MOU between Hoosier Uplands Head Start and NLCS as presented.
So, go ahead.
All right, Mrs.
Second.
Miller makes the motion, Mr. Bailey seconds. Any discussion on the motion?
I assume it's very similar to ours last year.
Absolutely.
Everything
Yeah.
seamless,
Yep.
works out well.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay,
Thank you. And finally, we are seeking approval of the NLCS 2024-2025 student handbooks.
all right, I would entertain a motion to approve the student handbooks as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Lombard makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Collier seconds. Any discussion on the motion? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Underwood. Now, Mr. Yancey.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. We are asking approval of a 60-minute early dismissal on the last Wednesday of the month for the 24-25 school year.
I would entertain a motion to approval of 60-minute early dismissal on the last Wednesday of the month as presented.
And Thanksgiving's in November and Christmas is December. There will not be any early dismissal on those 2 months. So it's only 8 days, 8 hours total.
Okay.
And we'll get, if it's approved here tonight, we'll get that out to our parents right away.
Still need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
All right, Mr. Lombard makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Collier seconds. Any discussion on the motion?
That email we got from Mrs. Gore about specials, has everybody seen that? Does
Yes.
that make some sense? Is that, I mean, that's something we can adjust as we go, can't we?
We can, yes.
Yeah, and the email was to make sure that we alternate the specials so that kids aren't missing the same special,
Specials
which
every time.
Every
is
time,
reason-
and
reasonable.
That makes a little sense, so.
Mhm.
And I assume BNL, I don't know, would BNL treat it like, kind of like how they do on a 2-hour delay and they modify it, like you still have all your classes, they're just
Yes,
shortened?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And the reason for this is for
Staff development.
staff development. Yeah. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Approval of, oh, I'm sorry, that's you, not me.
Thank you. We're asking approval of a pay increase for our bus drivers and bus monitors. So that would be a $10 increase for the bus drivers, and the bus monitors will be at $16 per hour with 6 hours guaranteed. Then after this is, if this is approved, we will evaluate again some of the bus routes. I think 9 are extended from last year. So then the next raise, we would look at that probably after December, because we got to look at our student count, and then we'll come back to you probably to adjust their pay, because some of our bus drivers has increased the length of time they're driving the bus. So I think they need to be adjusted, but again, we need to look to see what the savings is and what our count is. So this is a first start, hopefully.
Okay. Would entertain a motion to approve the pay increase for bus drivers and monitors as presented. Mrs. Miller makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Collier seconds. Any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, so 1, 2. Okay, we have 4 yeses and 1 abstention, so motion carries.
Thank you. We are asking approval of a replacement of 2 lift buses for a cost of $228,997 from Curlin Bus Sales.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the.
And,
Oh, go ahead.
that comes out of the capital projects.
Entertain a motion to approve the replacement of the two lift buses as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Lombrick makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Any discussion on the motion?
I assume that's wheelchair lift buses.
Yes, yes,
So,
sir.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, a bus is.
And then the
$10,000. These
then
are
the other two will
Yeah.
be retired.
Then it gets expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And ours ran a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are special needs buses for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
They run all over the county.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Motion carries.
Thank you. We are asking approval of the BNLHS running track repairs for a cost of $33,051.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the B&L running track repairs as presented.
So moved.
Mrs. Collier makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Miller seconds. Any discussion on the motion?
Is this the same company that did it?
Yes, and Mr. Parsley asked if we had any warranty, and we do not. He asked that when we spoke about this last meeting. So the company that's coming back, yes, because it was the lowest bid, and we went through what needs to be repaired. And again, this is only a short fix for a period of time, because to replace the track correctly is going to cost a substantial amount of money.
Do we
About
know where the
$400.
damage came from to begin with?
Yes and no. Part of it is where you put, where you put the starters for that's the metal rods that
blocks.
go into
Yeah.
the
Blocks.
blocks.
Mhm.
That's coming up at that area, and then we have an area where there's runoff, and that's towards the corner down from the new bleachers. That is severe. It's got a big dip in it, so that's all going to have to be taken out because it's dangerous to run in that area in lane 1 and 2. So
And when was it surfaced? What year was that?
4 years ago,
Yeah, it doesn't seem very old.
what?
Yeah, when they
2000.
put in the turf.
Or so it was in
22?
2020. 2020.
2020? Yeah. It should have lasted a long period of time. So I can tell you I put in tracks before at other districts, and we went with a different product, and at that time it was $380,000. It's been there 5 years, and there's not a problem. But again, it's how it's taken care of and what you expect of the track and what you put on it. So this is just a quick,
It's a temporary fix.
because right now it's not in any budgets to redo this at this time. So
Any other discussion?
Sorry, Wendy.
Go ahead.
It was 2021. My mistake.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not very old.
They first played football on it the fall of 2021, and then
Spring
track
of
would've been spring.
21. Okay. Yeah. So it's pretty new. Okay.
So is the runoff, was that was something messed up putting in like the turf, or did that have anything to do with it when they did that? Or?
I think you had a budget issue, unless I can go back and ask certain people. I think they went with a different type of product than what I've used before in other districts. So again, everybody has a budget, so you have to make do what budgets you're given. And
We got what we paid for.
yes, you get what you pay for.
Basically.
That's,
We got what we paid for. so-
yes. Because that will bring up the next, what we get paid for is what we'll be talking about, the next one you'll be asked to vote on, so.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Motion carries. Number 5.
Thank you. We are asking approval of the BNLHS football and baseball bleacher coating. That's the visitors on the football field, and also at the baseball field where the press box is. That's the only bleachers we have left. There's rust, corrosion, so the price tag is expensive because we would ask for sandblasting, primer, and paint, aluminum to match. It's $132,500. Now, if we vote this in, of course, we would do that first before we would repair the track, because that sand is going to be, they'll put up tarps, but it'll be a mess. The goal is to get this done before the first football game, so we have to get it moving. This would give us probably 10 years on those bleachers, and we discussed that last meeting about do we want to fix it correctly, or do we want to put aluminum paint on it and it'll be rusted and corroded in 2 or 3 years, and then we're back in the same mess. So this will actually fix the problem for, we hope, for 10 years. So, and it'll make the place really sparkle there because things are cleaning up in that area. So
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the B&L football and baseball bleacher coating as presented. Mrs. Miller makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Lombrick seconds. Any discussion? What, does this come out of the capital
no,
projects? or
this will
it's
come out of the
from
bond.
Bond, okay.
Yes.
Alright, any other discussion? Alright, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Okay, motion carries.
Thank-
Number 6.
Thank you. We're asking approval of the contract renewal for board docs.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to,
And it's
got more?
$18,000.
I'm sorry?
18,000.
I think that's in our packet too. I would entertain a motion to approve the contract renewal with board docs as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Bailey makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Collier seconds. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Thank you. We are asking approval of the North Lawrence Community School Area Center and Technical Program Operation Agreement with Brownstown Central Community School Corporation, Medora Community School Corporation, Mitchell Community School Corporation, and Orleans Community School Corporation. Shoals is having their meeting tonight, so we will bring that to you in July, and also the financial package will come to you in July.
So moved.
I got to call. Do I have to call for it first?
Okay. Go ahead. So moved.
I would entertain a motion to approve item number 7.
So moved.
Mr.
Second.
Lombrick makes the motion.
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Do we have any discussion on the motion? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? All right. Motion carries.
Thank you. We are asking approval for the BNLHS Overnight Cross Country Summer Camp at Star Hollow State Recreation Area on July 23rd through the 25th of 2024.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion to approve the overnight cross-country camp as presented. Mrs. Miller makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Lombrick seconds. Any discussion? It's a great place to run. It's going to be very hot. It's good training. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Number 9.
Sorry. Thank you. We're asking approval of the 2024-25 school meal price increase. That is a 10-cent price increase for middle school and high school breakfast and student lunch.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion to approve the school meal and price increase as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Bailey makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Lombrick seconds. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Does this mean the elementary is
They're exempt, and they're lucky.
okay
And we're also following the state guideline, state and federal guidelines.
for the increase? Okay. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. We are asking approval for the first reading of Neola Policy Volume 36, Number 1. And we don't have a vote.
Yeah,
That
so
would
we
be
don't
the
have to
second
vote on
reading.
it.
Also, if I could take a minute and go through a few things real quick with the board.
Sure.
In your packet, you will see information there of FYIs. So in the first part, Mr. Parsley asked last meeting we adopted or changed what would be in the teacher appreciation grant. As you can see, it's in green there under employment of teacher contract working with students. That has to be, of course, a first reading and a second if we want to change that policy. The second page was given by Lacey, and this deals with the teachers that did not receive the TAG grant. Also, she gives background information how other schools have paid for this for those people, including taking out of the education fund or changing the policy. I really believe changing the policy is probably the best way if you want to pay everyone, because it would come out of the grant, not out of the education fund. So he asked for that amount. Looks like to me, when I ran the numbers, if everyone's highly effective, it would cost about $13,860. If everyone was just effective, it would be about $11,154. There are a couple of people that have left us that's on that, so we can't pay them. So if the board would want to go back and pay that, that would be an option. But the policy would have to be read in July and August before we could be ready for the TAG grant for next year, this coming school year. Also in the packet, you'll see there Dr. Megan Shipley's yearly stakeholders report. Then you also will see a family engagement specialist will be using the corporation vehicle to transport students that we are allowed to do. JA benefits broker compensation disclosure requirements document from the business offices in there for you to look at. Also, it's interesting, in June of 2024, Neola, a special release on Title IX litigation alert. We're trying to determine what our sex is in the United States. So you can read that to figure that out. And number 5 there, elementary and middle school course fees for the curriculum and technology departments. The fees will be up for board approval in July. We wanted to give you time to look at that. And there will be some updates as we get closer to the July meeting. The special ed stipends that we did last year, because we're going to be buying out preps again. We asked the board to approve those. It's taken out of the special ed grants. Also, I'm looking at the athletic trainer compensation proposal. We were not lucky I tried to get a grant, it failed. So I would ask that the board would take a look at possibly raising this gentleman's rate because he works around the clock. And I can tell you he does fine work. So, of course, we'll have more for you. I do want to take a moment to thank Robin. She has been a pleasure to work with here at North Lawrence this last year. She's taking on a new job. We are going to miss her. I can tell you when I came in, we had a lot of findings from our audit that was done before I became superintendent, and she spent hours of cleaning this mess up, and I just appreciate her honesty and the time she worked here at North Lawrence. She's a true friend, and we wish her the best, and she is going to help us this next semester as contracted hours because we'll be looking for a new treasurer, and we'll be paying her her hourly rate. Got to remember, we have closing the books here in June. We also will be writing the new budget that is crucial, and so forth. So, and Robin's been kind enough to help us through this process because we will be interviewing, hopefully, for a new treasurer in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So, also, I pulled the PTO again. I had some directors had some concerns. PTO has been an issue in this district for many years. So I'm going to try to finally get this cleaned up where I can bring it in front of the board to add to the benefit package, because remember we tabled that, the PTO for our non-certified employees. So I will try to get that to you in July. Try to get it there for you early so you can look at it. So with a lot of things going on, and again, I want to thank the board for your continuous support as we move along through this process, and will be good news. The lease, there was no petition signed for the lease for the HVAC projects at Shawswick and Needmore. course, that also is a roofing project at Nemore also. These are extensive projects that will last over a year, and the school will be slightly a mess, but we hope to start that in the next few months. There is still a process. We have a holding corporation that has to have hearings, so we'll be doing that in the next few months, but we're excited about getting these HVAC systems in place. So also, I would like to say that we do have 3 people running for school board for 3 seats. So I would like to ask, I will invite the 2 new members that will be on the board in January. I'd like to meet with them in the next few weeks. Then I would like to invite them to our board meetings. Also, I would like to make sure if they have any questions that we go through the next semester, that we work with them because they will be starting in January. So, and Dr. Miller is one of those 3, so we're glad to have you back. And again, it's been just a pleasure to work with all of you. So, a lot of exciting things coming down the road. So, thank you now.
Thank you. Does anybody have questions about or discussion about anything that Mr. Yancey just talked about? Okay. Then I will move to persons to address the board. Looks like we got.
Come on, Joe.
We've got Joe.
We're making record time here,
That's
Joe.
he's fast. He's always fast. You're good. You're good.
First, I just want to thank you for the sound in this room. For those of us that don't hear that well, this is way better. So thank you very much for whoever made that happen. It makes a big difference for a lot of us. Thank you for letting Dr. Miller and everyone and the board. Thank you again for letting me come up and just give a quick an update. Just finished about 2 hours ago with our 16th graduation of the Introduction to Local Jobs and Skills cohort out of the North Lawrence Career Center, where it is very warm at the Career Center. But we made it through the 3 weeks. We had 13 graduates which brings us to a total of 186 over the past 4 years that all have next steps in their lives. For some of the ones that graduated today, we've got one that has Ivy Tech plans, 4 that are going to go into our welding class at the Career Center for it's free paid for by the state, Next Level Jobs. 3 for the construction, paid by Next Level Jobs. We have 2 that are are working with the Indiana Center for Recovery now. That's at Dunn Hospital. They're going to go and they're interviewing and going to work for that organization out there. So we were really tickled about that as well. And then, if I can read my own writing, we are starting a juvenile Introduction to Local Jobs and Skills through a grant from Duke Energy. And so we actually have some volunteers that would come back and help us with that. The age range for this class that graduated today, 17 to 54. So we covered pretty much the entire community. And so everybody has a plan. A couple people had jobs. They just wanted to get the experience of welding, construction, and machining. And just so you know, out of that comes with our teachers this time, we've worn out Mr. McCart, but Mr. Holmes, Mr. Gilbert, Ms. Cummings with healthcare, and then Tyler Kalber with construction. He also did the OSHA part for us this time around, and we had Nathan from the library that did employability skills with these folks, and then the hospital came and did some health stuff with these folks, trying to get them insurance for those people that don't understand those resources. And then we also had Sarah Kleber-Lowry that most of you know, and she came out and talked to them. And so trying to give them as many resources as possible. Felt really good about the graduation today with grandparents, parents, kids there, brothers, sisters, and the comment from one of the graduates was, "I've never graduated from anything." When you hear that kind of stuff, and she was so tickled, it really shows what we're doing, that we're doing something right in the community. And really, when you look at the dollars that we've leveraged over the past 4 years to bring into the community to pay for these classes, and now the Next Level Job classes, we're almost up to $3 million that we've just leveraged into our community. That was available before. We just didn't have a system to be able to do that. And so we're really tickled about that. There's more things coming coming down the pipe. And so, but we just thank you so much for your cooperation and letting us be in that facility. Everything has gone, knock on wood, through 16 cohorts. So no catastrophes or anything like that. We are 17th cohort starts in August. So, and then following that will be new construction and welding classes. So, thank you for your partnership. You're doing a lot for the community by letting that facility be utilized out there, even when there's no air conditioning. I think we used about 17 cases of water over the past 3 weeks, just trying to make sure everybody's hydrated. So, but your partnership is just absolutely critical, and we can't thank you enough. And their teachers out of the Career Center are the best. They're the best around, without a question. So, thank you very much.
Can I just ask a question about what's the juvenile? What age ranges will that be?
We got the grant from Duke Energy. They're letting us decide.
Okay.
And so we've met with Judge Klein, Judge Hewitson, I guess you'd call her, Judge Nykerk, Judge Plummer, probation, with Katie Messman and Connie Bailey. And for those of you that know all these players, and what would be the best way to do that. We can structure it any way that we want to.
Oh, fantastic.
And so really trying to give those kids that have had a rough go, what would be best for them. We've thrown a few into the adult class, and they do pretty well, but we really need something more focused for probably ages 15 to 18, maybe 14 to 18, but just get them focused on some stuff.
Yeah.
And so actually I have a committee that's doing it, and I don't know what it looks like yet.
Yeah.
So
It's exciting. We can't wait to hear.
We'll tell you more when we know. And the last thing I just want to tell you is we're working on the literacy program. As you know, SOAR has not been around for a number of years. We have a group now that has full funding, and they're choosing the curriculum, and they're choosing how we're going to do that in the community. So I'll update you next board meeting or the board meeting after on how we're going to be able to restart the literacy program here in Lawrence County, including digital and financial literacy as well. So we're excited about that. Just a lot of moving parts that are happening, but trying to help people in our community have a better shot at a better quality of life and giving them the resources that they need. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we don't have spotlights and highlights because it's summer, but that felt like a spotlight and a highlight. So thank you, Joe, for giving us that. Any other persons to address the board? Logan?
Hey there, good evening. I have just a couple comments here. So the TAG grant money, there were several teachers that were expecting that to be voted on tonight, and then it got pushed back again. There were more teachers that were coming, but when they heard that it was pushed off again, they just didn't come. But there's a lot of feelings about this, and paying that to those individuals last year that were denied that or haven't been paid that yet, and we would like to see that taken care of. And moving forward, whether it's policy or some kind of change that direction, I can tell you, as vice president of the association, when it comes down to that funds, if you have a pool of money and you are neglecting, was 22 people, I believe, when it started. Now it's down to 20 because 2 have left. Give me less money and pay those people. Because those people, just because they don't have room V116 at the Career Center and they don't have those students all the time, they're still making our schools work. They're still with our kids. They're still doing things that other people aren't doing. Instead of giving me $520, give me $480. Pay those people. Okay, that's all we ask for. And there's a lot of people who feel the same way. You're not hurting my feelings to cut me out of $50 or whatever to pay these other folks. And that's what we want to see happen, because they should have known. And I was listening on the radio at the last board meeting. We were traveling, and I was listening to it. I had my phone plugged in and was just listening to it over YouTube on the car radio. And the comment was made that in previous years we had done it and it was a malpractice. And that's not the message, and that's not the word that even describes that. Because you look around and other school corporations do it. It's another practice. It's another way of doing it. It's not a malpractice. Okay? There's nothing illegal about doing it. And pay those people, because life works a lot better in schools when everybody's working together for the best of the kids. And that's what schools are about. They're about kids. So reward those people. Reward those individuals.
And I think it was me who said that. I wasn't saying that that paying them was malpractice, but if you have a policy in place that says this is how we do it, and then you break that policy, that's a malpractice. I know that we can change the policy and pay those people, and that is not illegal. That is not what I intended to say, and I don't believe that.
But in doing that, it's an interpretation of who those people are. There's not a. That's the whole problem with the way it's written. Is it's an interpretation. It's so. We can agree to disagree on it.
But the interpretation, right, and the interpretation that is in front of us is it says classroom teachers. So it wasn't, and we can change the policy, and I think we're open to talking about that. So I just want to be clear that nobody, because I'm the one who said that, I did not mean that paying them going forward or even reimbursing or however you want to look at it is malpractice or illegal.
Okay.
But if we have a policy on the books and we operate outside of that, that puts us at risk in terms of financials. So it wasn't, I don't want it to be portrayed that we don't want to pay those people. We're trying to balance that with policy. And that's why we're looking at the policy. And I had originally, we had scheduled an executive to talk about this, but it's not executive content. That would break the open door law. So that's why we're not talking about it in executive tonight, but we did get this information about it so that we can move it forward.
But we've been doing this for months. I mean, let's be real.
We
I mean, we've
had
been
a
doing
work
this for
session.
months.
We had a work session about it, and we talked about the policy. And Mr. Parsley, who's not here tonight, but he asked, could we have this information about how much it would cost if we back pay, and then all this information that we got tonight. So this is our first time getting all of this information.
Okay. Because
So-
I know Lacey worked real hard on this and has been putting information out left and right, and then it feels like just kick the can down the road, and eventually we'll just go away. That's what it feels like.
That's definitely not what's. I mean, I'm just speaking for Mr. Yancey. No, that's not what's happening at
That's
all.
the way
I mean,
it feels. That's the way the
I-
teachers feel.
Yes, and we have all of this. We have it now, and it is going to be addressed. We did have a work session where we specifically addressed it. Not all the board members were here. It's summer sometimes, and I think that's kind of where it got caught.
Okay.
But it is. I promise you, it will be addressed.
Okay. The other question. So at the very end, and it was breaking up because Kentucky doesn't have real good. My phone wasn't picking up when we were traveling.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, when Mr. Yancey was talking about the legal action at the very end of the last meeting, there was an agreement, a vote to pay for those fees right now. Okay, I want to ask, what account are those fees coming out of? Like, does it come out of the education fund? Does it come out of?
I do not know.
It would come out of operations.
Comes out of operations. Okay, all right. That's all. And is there a limit on that, or will that be another? Is that a?
I am allowed to pay up to $25,000. If it goes over that, I have to ask the board for appropriations.
Okay. Does insurance ever take care? Because I would assume as an educator, if something happens in a classroom, you also have school insurance that covers you. Plus, if you're an association member, you have that coverage.
The litigation, the insurance company, 3 lawyers now are taking over to decide if we're taking it to court or we'll settle. So the board will just be getting information from the attorneys of what will be advised to do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure it wasn't coming out of education to pay that. And, so operations.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
All right. Anybody else? All right. With that, let me see where we are. Our next meeting, our regular meeting, is July 18th, 2024. And with that, I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Lambert makes the motion. Mr. Bailey seconds. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right.